Chibnall, I'm not going to say I'm mad at you. No, I'm more disappointed. You bring back the Sea Devils for the first time in decades, and they look pretty much as good as they did, actually even slightly better than they did originally. And you bring them back in a very epic historical tale with some very impressive production value. And you didn't bring back the Merca? I think I'm done with you. Legend of the Sea Devils, the latest special for Jodie Whittaker on the road to her final bow as the Doctor. I admit I've been so caught up in a lot of the craziness with things going on in the horror scene, and not only that, with all things going on right now with my endeavors at the Orlando Fringe Festival, I forgot when this was actually coming out, and I feel bad. I suppose I forgot about it because, in a similar fashion to when Tenet was on the road out, I just kind of wanted to get to the finale, because you know that that's where the meat and bones of the story that Chibnall probably wants to tell is going to be over there. But, you know, I do respect that Chibnall wanted to still give us a little bit of something fun on the road. If you saw my live review of Eve of the Daleks, you know I absolutely love that one. I actually got a sincere kick out of it. And it definitely reminds me that whenever Doctor Who is on, I will always enjoy jumping in and just watching it and having a good time, because I always seem to have a good time with Doctor Who. Not that it wasn't fleshed out, I feel like it didn't have the room to be as well developed as it could. Because again, you're still operating on the 45-minute timetable, and it wasn't as long as I felt it could have been, which is a shame, because when Tennant was on his way out, most of his specials ranged anywhere from like 15 minutes to about an hour, even a little bit more. Chibnall, we would have been willing to stick around for a lot longer than the 45-minute runtime that we have for this episode, because honestly, I was so taken with the setting, the aspects of history that you were tackling, and not only that, the very, very beautiful production value that you were able to pull off with this one. I will definitely say that this is a much better pirate story than Curse of the Black Spot. Absolutely. Principally because this one was actually delving in a real-world pirate. Now, this is going to the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but if you remember at World's End with the Pirate Council, there was one Chinese pirate, a woman Chinese pirate, Pirate King, and she was actually based on a real pirate queen, who actually, if memory serves, was never caught. And I loved that Doctor Who was going into this particular bit of history. And, you know, when most people think pirates, of course they think, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean. It was nice to go into a completely different part of the world with a completely different setting. And I will say, to its immense credit, really did a great job selling the location. I was actually really taken with it. And given how difficult it is to work on the water, now I'm pretty sure they didn't actually go out on the water, but they did a really good job simulating it. And that, combined with some pretty damn arresting imagery, I was very much taken with the ambition. But that's nothing new. I've always been taken with the scale that Chibnall always seemed to want to take Doctor Who, and this one's definitely no slouch either. I mean, this one, we actually have a pimp, as the Doctor says, pimped out pirate ship, all sci-fi'd up and looking pretty damn badass. On a technical level, this episode is dazzling to watch, and it's definitely has a level of fun which definitely will have me on future binges. If I ever start doing Doctor Who binging again, I will happily go through and say, yeah, this one was a lot of fun. For as much as I was taken with the setting and a lot of the human characters and a lot of the historical figures who they feature in this episode, I admit the Sea Devils, I don't really feel were utilized to their peak. I feel like they were just there to lend a sci-fi menace. The final scheme was perfectly in keeping with what we know about both the Sea Devils and, by extension, the Silurians. They have a similar story. They're just, aquatic but they all have this, but they both have the same aim, at least the evil ones do, where they believe they have a claim to Earth, and of course they want to kick out humans because they're like, bitch, get out of my house. That's totally how I would react. Totally. Unlike the way that Stephen Moffat utilized the Silurians during his era, I really don't feel like Chibnall really felt the desire to individualize his Sea Devils, because that was the great thing Moffat did, and he did so well. He gave individual identities. He didn't treat the Silurians like a uniform race. He actually wanted to hit home the fact that not everyone thought the same. I don't feel Chibnall really delved into that as much as he should have. And these are classic monsters, and if you really want to be technical, they've only been in 2 stories, and there's still so much you could do with them. And I don't feel like Chibnall was interested in going further than just the base blueprints of what we know about them, which is really a shame, because there's so many good things you could do, especially in relation to the story that they were doing on the whole. So I think that's my major niggle with it, and it's to the point where they're practically forgettable. But fortunately, a lot of the reason why they're forgettable is because I was so invested in the human characters. That's where my big portion of my investment was in the story. Again, Dan is basically just there, though, and it does seem a touch random that at the end of it all he decides to contact Di. But you know what? At the same time, though, I'm really happy that she's not far from his mind, and there's a part of me wondering if the end of his run will be him and her finally having a proper reunion. I mean, we definitely saw in the promo for the finale that she will be in it, so I suspect that that's where we're going from there. But the thing that I was very happy they started delving a little deeper into is the relationship between Yaz and the Doctor. Now, on the surface, this is, a lot of people could call this, rose cloning, and it would be hard to refute that claim. Now, I will say this in defense for Yaz and the Doctor. I'm noticing that the Doctor actually is looking at Yaz with the utmost yearning. Like, unlike Ten and Rose, where Ten is just and sometimes even acting a little oblivious, I noticed that this is actually reading for the Doctor, that the Doctor actually legitimately wishes that she could go with Yaz and be with Yaz forever. And I really dug that. I really feel it actually does complement the Doctor's development, especially after the 24 years the Doctor spent on Beryllium with River Song. The idea that the Doctor wants to spend as much time with a person and will find any way possible to spend that extended amount of time with the person, but ultimately the Doctor is always going to be saddled with the woe that everyone but her is finite, and they can't really do much about that, save for doing some stuff which probably on the scales of morality, probably not a good idea. So I really liked that this is, yes, could be read as the same kind of concept character-wise, but I really feel that there's a bit more going on here. Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill's chemistry, and I'm not saying that getting rid of Ryan and Graham was a blessing, but I really felt for Yaz's character, I really do feel it was necessary in order to help her grow as a companion, and I really do feel we're finally getting that. And I will say I'm looking forward to seeing how things wrap up with her, and I hope it, and I will say this, I do hope it wraps up in a very un-new series kind of way. I've said this before about Clara's departure, and one thing that's kind of driven me crazy about the majority of the companion departures in the new series is that all the departures, the writers always seem to want to punish the companions for wanting to be companions. And for the most part, all of them always end up with their lives kind of irreparably, I don't want to say damaged, but I will say changed to a point where you wonder if they were ever better off with the Doctor to begin with. There's never been, I mean, the only one where I would say was finally, in my opinion, very joyous was Clara's after Face the Raven. Most people didn't like Hellbent, but I loved it because I loved that Clara actually was able to take her life into her own hands, live the life that she wanted to live by her own terms, and she actually was allowed to have the choice to die when she wanted to, and it was kind of wonderful. I thought it was great, and I refuse to accept anyone else's argument thus, but that's a subject for a different video. So with Yaz, I hope, because it's very clear Yaz is probably going to have to see the woman that she loves die. In a way, it would be kind of great to think of the idea that the thing that the Doctor feared, the idea of seeing Yaz decay and die, it would be interesting to see Yaz fall in love with the Doctor, but then the Doctor regenerates, and Yaz can't really bring herself to move forward with another Doctor, because even though identity-wise it's the Doctor, it's not the person that Yaz knew. There's so many ideas that they could go into it with, and I'm still on the fence about whatever Russell T Davies is going to do. I want to believe that they're not going to give credence to the bullshit that they want David Tennant to come back. Fuck that. But I would prefer it if they try to carry on some things just for the sake of proper closure. And I do feel Russell T Davies will do a better job of that than I think Chibnall will. But again, we won't know for sure until we get to the finale episode. I'm kind of going off on these tangents because, yeah, ultimately Legend of the Sea Devils is kind of unremarkable in the grand scheme of things. But at the same time, though, I don't think it's awful. I kind of put it on the same level as Planet of the Dead. But I really enjoyed Planet of the Dead because it was a fun story with a lot of great moments and a lot of very ambitious production value for a show on the budget level of Doctor Who. And so there's a lot of good in it. It's just not going to be breaking into any of my top 10 lists anytime soon. Definitely not any of my top 5 of Jodie Whittaker's era. But it is still a nice reminder that Doctor Who is still there, and we're still going to be getting a lot more in the future, and that there are a lot of big things on the horizon. So, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that this was just a forgettable thing, or do you consider this to be a nice little appetizer for what's to come? Leave it in the comments below, and for more addictive content on Narcotic Casserole, simply like, share, subscribe, click, thou shalt be served. And incidentally, thank you all for sticking with Narcotic Casserole after all this time. I know that pretty much my feed has just basically been me regurgitating my TikTok videos onto YouTube. I get that. It's just right now, my life is a circus right now. Many people don't know this, but I got fired in 2020, of October 2020. I got fired from my job, and then by the good grace, Lewis from Man Bites Media was able to land me another job. A job that I will say is very rewarding, but it's also extremely stressful. I've been trying to find my bearings and just trying to find balance out with what's going on there. But at the same time, though, I am still trying to fulfill my creative endeavors, because right now, I have, if you've seen the trailer for my film, The Rest of Silence, a Shakespearean thriller, that actually showed at the Front Row Fringe Festival. We ended up winning some awards for it. But at the same time, while I'm still pimping that out at different film festivals, I'm also directing Shakespeare's Aliens at the Orlando Fringe Festival this year, and that has really been jeopardizing a lot of my time. But fortunately, now that things seem to be, petering out with the pandemic, once Fringe is done, I'm planning some new projects, some new stuff for Casserole. At some point, I really do want to bring back the Cinema Schlock Society and kind of pick up where we left off. And I definitely am bringing back Comfort Flicks because, it is a fun thing for me and Lynn to do. So if you love this content, and if you, at the very least, consider me like some kind of endearing authority on Doctor Who and even on horror recently, I've been trying. Go to my TikTok. I've actually been really throwing myself hard into that, and thank you all for the support for people who have been watching me on that. But can't think of anything else more to say, but thank you all for sticking with me, and spread the word about the channel. I've been at this now for a while and I'm looking back going, Jesus Christ, I did all that. So definitely send people back and just have them look at all the stuff I've done in the past. Even if Casserole died tomorrow, I'd still look back going, Jesus Christ, I did all that. And a lot of the reason why I kept doing it was because of you. So thank you very much.